Hello YouTube, and welcome to the first episode of Florida Scout. I'm your host, Ron Barney, and let's just get right into it. We're going to go and take a look at Ybor City, which is an area of Tampa, and I'm pretty excited about this one because I've heard a lot about it and I want to check it out for myself. Let's have a look. All right, let's do some Ybor City scouting. And we're already in the thick of it. We're on the west edge northbound on Florida Avenue. And my first impressions are, it's one of those sort of diverse with arty graffiti kind of basketball movie towns. We're going to stay on northbound till we hit Martin Luther King Boulevard. We're kind of going to go around the outer perimeter and make sort of a spiral towards the deepest inner portion of Ybor City. What are we seeing here? We're seeing spaces for lease, more artsy graffiti. There's a certain amount of soul. I look and see a mom and pop shop open, and I actually feel surprised that it's open. Almost every building needs rehab. This is not a slick part of town. At least during the daytime, it does not feel dangerous. But it's also not quite as bad as what I had expected coming into it, because this place has a reputation that precedes it. It's just sort of a, well, there are little bits of positive, especially the art, and lots of bars on windows, bars on doors. Just kind of telling you this ain't where rich people live. Liquor store. Everybody drinks, but not everybody robs liquor stores. We got bars on the doors there. With the bike path on this road, it tells me they've been trying to sort of elevate the area and bring in the hipsters and get a little something going. And there is small business. It's not all dead. Small business is a very good sign. But it's a mix. It's not all good, it's not all bad. I'm tallying up what I see here. And this is the west perimeter of Ybor City, so we're not really in the thick of it yet. When there are a lot of body shops and used car places in a stretch, in a distressed neighborhood, that is kind of an indicator that there is a brisk business in car thievery. So they got those ghetto hustles going. Now we're on the north edge of Ybor. So to your right is Ybor City, to your left is not Ybor City. Just kind of hitting the perimeter here to see. We just passed a couple houses, one with bars, one is boarded up. So yeah, a lot of people have voted with their windows, I'll tell you that much. Just passed a house with an eviction notice. That must have been evicted before the moratorium. It is somewhat surprising and somewhat not surprising to see the contrast of just either side of Martin Luther King Boulevard. On the south side, you almost hear in your mind the soundtrack of Sanford and Son, and on the left it just looks like generic suburbia. But yeah, Ybor City's got a reputation. It's got a reputation as a party town. If you're kind of in the party town drag of it. And it's got a reputation for being a ghetto. And we've seen a bit of it so far. It's not as intense as how people describe to me so far. But there are obviously the signs that there has been property crime. What else to say about the impressions? Metro PCS that we passed there, it kind of targets a more economy demographic, we can say it that way. Now we're entering a stretch where both sides of the road are fairly generic suburban. People are road raging past me because I'm going too slow. You will notice anytime you drive in Florida that if you're not at least 20 over the limit, you will get road rage passed. They just don't like it if you're trying to find something. And I was double checking my drive plan, and I am where I need to be. So we're coming up on another small business. So it's got jobs for people, and it's got some economic hustle going on. Barber shop off to the left. Family Dollar. Those are pretty much everywhere. So we're seeing an area that it's cut, it's bleeding, but it's not dead. It's not a D area, but it's looking to be solidly in smack dab center of a C area. Now there's a playground here, double barrier of fence. And the historic district there, that's a tourist attraction for some historic buildings, basically. Now I see some non-artsy graffiti. One of those gas stations that is completely run down. Needless to say, the people that you're going to rent to are not going to have deep pockets, which in turn means that you're going to have to find discounts in order to get good return on investment if you invest, or to get a good deal if you move here to live. Now the jury's out so far on moving here to live, because we're going to look at numbers later. I do suspect that the crime numbers are not going to be hopeful. At least in terms of the visual indicators as I'm driving around the outer perimeter of Ybor City, I think we're looking at a C area. As we get into the interior, that may change. And I'm very curious to see what we're going to see. Coming up on the northeast corner of Ybor City, as soon as we hit 40th Street. And here it is coming up. So I do see sort of an industrial area. Oftentimes industrial businesses move out if it's one of those D or F neighborhoods that are just total war zones. So I would shy from calling this a war zone. That's not what this is. It's really just a place that generally cheap. Now we're going southbound on the eastern perimeter. We're going to spiral in a little bit. it's certainly not an area where a lot of municipal city level effort has been made to beautify, but the basics of keeping it in good repair have been done. So it's sort of a mid-range, but a little lower on the scale impression so far. Empty lot. You could buy and build something cheap. An actual roundabout. Roundabout is interesting because that's a new type of a feature. Church is in pretty good repair. Houses, as a rule, here are small and with medium range opportunity for rehab. The mood of the people that I see is seem to be like when they congregate, they're laughing. It's a good sign. If it was a war zone, they would have that sort of a hungry, everyone is a potential robbery victim kind of a look. So it's basically, I could easily imagine a place like this being the set of, say, a Spike Lee movie. Something about basketball or whatever. A couple of severely distressed houses. More small business. Come to think of it, just about all the business around here is small. And the indicator of that is that there isn't a whole lot of interest on the part of corporate chains to have a presence here. And usually when they make that kind of a judgment, it's sort of a security concern. Jotting a few notes as we go through as well. The contrast is, like with the homes that I see, I do see some very well kept up homes, and I see some that are just junk. So a big difference just has to do with who lives where. Individual case-by-case basis. Some of the better houses are going by here. Could be some sort of a project, but whoever did it did a pretty good job. and more bars on the windows. So there is that ever-present reminder by homeowners that this is indeed a crime area, at least property crime, if not other as well. We'll look at the numbers when we get back. No left turn, so I'm going to have to cheat here. Oh, 15th is a one-way. All right. Got to change plan here a bit. Okay. We'll take a shortcut off the plan, keep going west. Going to 34th Street. And it's all pretty uniform, just in terms of the upsides and the downsides, the better houses and the worse houses. Demographics, pretty predictable. Nebraska is 36. All right. Another liquor store, bars on the windows. So we're pretty much in the interior of Ybor City right now, and I think when we get to a certain level here, we can call it a drive. It's not really upscale, but some of the businesses do have a pretty good upkeep. So it's not a uniform cultural disaster where everybody's just sort of given up. It's a diverse area. And just kind of Spike Lee-ish. You could probably get some hipsters renting in this area. Some frugal hipsters. And I would be surprised if I see average rent being even $1 higher than average for Tampa. By look, at least, it's sort of the bargain basement. And another Family Dollar. Alright, and I think we're coming up on another edge here. So let's call this a drive. We'll take it back to the studio and look at numbers. Okay, welcome back to the studio. We're going to have a look at the numbers here for Ybor City. Total crime to national average is 333%. That is 5 times the Tampa average, 4 times the Florida average. Violent crime to the national average is 725%, which is 7 times the Tampa average, 7 times the Florida average. 333% the national average for property crime, 5 times the Tampa average, 4 times the Florida average. This is a dumpster fire for crime. It's just not good. Average home value, $198,000. Average rent, $1,233. Average rent to value is 0.6%. You really want to get 1 at least percent. Average cash flow per unit, $192. Average cash on cash ROI, 4.6%. That's not an acceptable number either for average cash on cash ROI. So with the horrible crime and the terrible numbers, going to have to give this one an avoid. So thanks for watching the first episode of Florida Scout. We'll see you next time.